on? Well, my thing don't want to go away. Okay. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Okay, she back. Let me get Miss Geo here. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so sorry about my tardiness today. I really got off my schedule, but we're here. It's Friday. We all made it to Friday. Yay! Okay. Today I'm back, and guess what? We got all 4 of the super friends, the dream team in the house. I know y'all been missing Miss Geo down there when we came on Monday and Tuesday, but she's back. Welcome back, Geo. So I will let everybody introduce themselves. To my over here, I have Tony.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tony Clopton out of the Alabama area. Glad to be here and ready to go.
Okay, next we have, we'll let Pandy go next.
Hey, everybody. Pandy here. Happy to be here. Happy Friday.
And to finish us up, welcome back, Geo.
Hi, everybody. I'm Geo. I'm the Boss Life Online. I'm so glad to be back with the gang. Let's talk about it. Back to you, Melissa.
Okay, so we had a good week this week. I think what did we start off talking about? Now y'all know my mind bad. What did we talk about Monday? I don't remember, but I know mindset. And then Tuesday we went over
credit.
Oh, I'm batting a 0 right now. I can't remember that. I started late. Bear with me, people. Okay, so, but I do know what our topic today is. We just finished, for those of you who got it in and didn't have to do an extension, like myself, most of us had until the 18th to get in our tax information. So I think we've been very braggadocious over here about the fact that we have our cash flow manager. And for us, the whole tax thing is a breeze because we're tracking our stuff and all we're doing is sending it to our accountant or whoever, and they're putting the work in. So now that part is over, and technically, I remember Tony and Aaron some a while back. Then you call it like a checkup, some type of checkup, financial checkup thing.
Paycheck checkup. Checkup.
Yeah. So we know that every 2 weeks or however you get paid, taxes are taken out of your paycheck. But do you know how they decide how much to take out of your paycheck? Well, one of the first lessons you learn with my econ is you are actually the person who determines that. So when you complete your W-4, which everybody gets one when they start a 9-to-5 job, and a lot of you who have been working, hey, Gamer Brother, thanks for coming in. A lot of you who have been working for like 20 plus years at the same place, you may not even remember when you filled it out, what you put on it, any of that. Now, myself, I'm a little bit of a drifter. So I have filled out probably about 20 W-4s in my lifetime because that's how often I've changed jobs. So, but even with that, if you don't know what you're doing, when you fill it out, it still, it still doesn't matter. But today I wanted to talk about updating your W-4 and deciding how much you have taken out of your check for taxes. Now, it's not just a willy-nilly where you can just decide, well, shoot, I ain't paying no taxes. Give me all my money. You can do that, but you best believe you're going to have some consequences. So before you make that decision, you need to kind of have an idea of how what you do on that W-4 is going to affect you when you get ready to file your taxes for next tax season. So just like you can have them take out too little, you can have them take out too much. And you struggling from paycheck to paycheck because, you know, you got them taking out. I think I shared that when I was, before I started this business, I used to have them take out an extra $50 for federal and an extra $50 for the state. So that's $100 a paycheck, twice a month, 200 times 12, $2,400 additional money on the side of what they were already taking out, just so that I would not have to pay back at the end of the year, or I wouldn't have to pay back as much. So that personally for me was killing me, because I'm just like, man, I'm giving money away. What? I'm going to work and I'm giving them money. I'm giving them everything. So when I ran into Tony and he shared with me how my econ can help me in my particular predicament, because I told him, I said, Tony, I'm working all the time. You know, we do a lot of overtime. They killing me with the taxes. They taking all this out. I have to pay them extra money. And sometimes I still owe. And he was like, well, you know, if you start a business, you don't have to do this. So I was extremely intrigued, because that's always been my biggest problem, that them taking out too much taxes. So today, you know, when we first started, the W-4 was a paper form. And I know for me, it was like a half a slip of paper that had like 5 little items up there, and you signed it at the bottom. Well, it went from being that to 2 sides, where the front side is for your 9-to-5 job, and the back side is more for like if you have Schedule C stuff. Then it went from a two-sided form to a 4-page document. So, you know, we're looking at it like, they're making this harder and harder to fill out, because I think they figured out. We learned how to what it means to have tax refund and how to choose how much get taken out. So they're like, they're getting too smart on us. We gotta come up with something else. So now the way it's set up, you don't even, it used to be before you would put down like how many allowances, you know, even though you did that information on the front and the back, when you totaled up the numbers, that would be your allowance to let them know how much to take out. So like if you had a bunch of, you know, they used to tell you how many kids you got. You got 3 kids, put 4 allowances on there, something like that. So, and that's not even accurate, but that's something people would say. Then you have some people say, well, put a 0 on there, and that way you get all of your money back or whatever, or however it go. No, you won't. They won't take all your money. So now it's set up, and I'm gonna try to share this, y'all. But y'all know my computer acting crazy. Now the form, it has gone to a form that the IRS has provided, something called a Form W-4 calculator. So you can actually go on to this website, and I think it's going to show it next. Okay, so it's talking about the W-4 calculator, and it's to protect against having too little tax withheld and facing unexpected tax bill penalty at tax time next year. Average refund of around $3,000. You may prefer to have less tax withheld up front and receive more in your paycheck, which is what my econ recommends. So basically they're saying, and I think we all kind of know this, the more they take out of your paycheck, then the less you have to worry about paying back. So this calculator is going to help you figure out exactly where you need to be. Okay, so there is a disclaimer. My econ does not guarantee you will receive an increase in your check by adjusting your Form W-4. Results will vary based on each individual unique financial situation. And I can't say for me personally, because like I said, I was paying extra. So I ended up, after I adjusted my W-4, I brought home an additional $400 a paycheck, which was twice a month. So that was an additional $800 a month. Okay, so it kind of goes through the typical things that you have to fill out when you're doing the W-4, your filing status, you know, you do married filing jointly. I guess for this particular example with the kids and stuff, they're doing married filing jointly. They've got an income in here and 2 dependents. So typical, I guess that's going to be like a typical American family. Not my family. Okay, next, So when you get ready to complete this W-4 calculator, what you need is to have your most recent pay stub in front of you. So here you see Robert Johnson. He's got his pay stub, and I'm sorry guys, it's kind of small. I may have to just yeah, I'm gonna make this the full page so I can see it a little better. It's great. Okay, well, and then add a whole lot of to it, but a little bit. Okay, so the required information, they have both their check stubs here, and yeah, it's too little for me to kind of read it, but it gives you an idea. So now, what you want to do is go to the World Wide Web, type in tax withholding estimate. If you do that, it is going to pull up the IRS tax withholding estimator, which is going to walk you through how much you should actually be withholding from your check to get your desired outcome at tax time. All right, so next, this is just a slide that basically shows when you click the link, it's going to take you to this page. You see that big IRS right there at the top that lets you know this is the official Internal Revenue Service. This is not something my econ is making up. This is not something Melissa is making up. This is the actual document or program that's developed by the IRS. Okay, next, this is what it's going to look like once you actually get into the estimator. So you're going to go through just like you know, for those that remember how it looked on the paper form, it's a lot similar to that. They ask you some questions about you, what your filing status is. Let's see what else. They ask you whether or not anybody else can claim you on this one. Oh, hey, viewers of you. Thanks for coming through. Let's see. Next page. They're asking about dependents, how many dependents you have, what your income is. And keep in mind, you're going to have your check stub in front of you to be able to answer these questions. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly, you know. Then you don't have to worry about that particular part. So here it says the Johnsons will be claiming their 2 children as dependents on their tax return. Both Mr. and Mrs. Johnson will hold a job with federal income taxes withheld. Both expect to hold 1 job each year. The Johnsons do not receive pension. Okay, so that took care of everything on that first screen. Screen number 2, the Johnsons do not have any other sources of income and tax payments. Okay, so it looks to here, the Johnsons don't have a home-based business if they're saying they don't have any other sources of income. And it says the Johnsons do not fit any of the demographics listed. So they've got a list of things here that you may or may not meet the criteria for. Let's see. Okay. On the next screen, they're talking about income and withholding. So it says income and withholding is the income and withholding for each job you earned income from this year. So Mr. Johnson plans to hold his job the entire year. I think most of us do. Mr. Johnson is paid twice monthly, and Mr. Johnson's most recent pay period ended on 2/19/21. So in order for them to get all of your calculations and everything in order, they're going to ask you specifically, like, do you get paid twice a month on the same date, or is it like every 2 weeks? If you say every 2 weeks, like in my case, it asked me when was my last pay period ending. So it's going to calculate it based specifically on what I put in about my paycheck. Okay, next thing, it says Mr. Johnson earns $50,000 per year. Mr. Johnson does not expect any bonuses. Year to date, Mr. Johnson has paid $524 in federal taxes. From last check, Mr. Johnson has paid $131 in federal taxes, and Mr. Johnson does not contribute to a 401k or other cafeteria, I'm going to think that says plan. So these questions, and I'm sorry that the screen is so small, but the information I just read is based on how Mr. Johnson answered those questions over here on the right. Next, okay, computer. All right, this is that the same? That's the same screen. No, this is Mrs. Johnson. Okay, so it says for Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson expects to have her job all year as well. Ms. Johnson gets paid twice monthly. Ms. Johnson's most recent pay stub period ended 2/19/21. Mrs. Johnson earns $55,000 per year, and Mrs. Johnson does not expect any bonuses. So she has her check stub, and she's answered those questions as well. And at the top it says your spouse. So in this case, it looks like they're filing jointly since they're asking both those questions of both of them. Okay. Okay, so year to date, Ms. Johnson has paid $624 already in federal taxes. From the last check, Ms. Johnson has paid $156. So that lets them know specifically per pay period how much is coming out. And Mrs. Johnson does not contribute to a 401k or a cafeteria plan. I wonder what their retirement plan is. They must have rich relatives. Okay. Adjustments to income are adjustments that will have a significant impact to your tax obligation. The Johnson family doesn't know, so they opt to see adjustments. So they're not sure whether they have any or not. So I guess they're going to go in line by line to see what shoe fits. It says the Johnsons do not have student loans, educator expenses, or IRAs. I'm worried about the Johnsons. They ain't got no retirement. None. Okay. A next screen says the Johnsons do not have health savings, account deductions, moving expenses, alimony paid, penalty for early withdrawal, or business credits. The Johnson family does not have any adjustments to income. So since they didn't meet any of those, they left them blank. They click next. All right. Next screen in section 4 is the deductions from income. The Johnsons qualify for a standard deduction of $25,100, and I'm not sure if that's the same amount because this is from 2021, so it may be more or less. I'm not sure how it goes. Okay, the Johnson family does not have more than $25,100 in itemized deductions, so the Johnsons will take the standard deduction. So usually, when you're doing your taxes, there's a standard deduction that is like a certain amount that everybody can get taken off of their taxable income. But if you have itemized deductions that are higher than the standard deduction, you will take the higher amount, of course, because that's going to lower your taxable income even more, which is really the goal. Okay, so tax credits. The Johnsons qualify for tax credits for their dependents. Tax credits subtract directly from tax obligation. Okay, check C tax credits. The Johnsons have 2 children under 17. The Johnsons have 2 children that qualify for a child care tax credit. Okay, so here they filled out their information to show, how they qualify for that. And as you can see, the questions, I know y'all probably can't see them closely, but just based on what I'm reading, the questions are very straightforward. Is a yes or a no. If there's an amount, you fill in the amount based off what you have on your check. Okay, the Johnsons paid $6,500 in child care. The Johnsons do not qualify for earned income tax credit. They make too much income. The Johnsons do not have foreign tax credit, educational retirement savings, or homeowner credits. Unlike me, I didn't have homeowner credits either. Okay, so that takes care of this screen. So let's see what's next here. Okay, the Johnsons do not qualify for elderly disabled, business alternative minimum tax, energy efficient vehicles credit. All right, so since they don't fall into those categories, they're just going to hit next and keep on to the next screen. All right, so now we're down to the last screen. Okay, the results will show if you will owe or receive a refund. And I know this might be a little hard to make out, but if you can see the little rainbow light device that's got the y'all see that down there. It's showing how much that they're going to get as a refund. It's showing that they're getting a refund. So if that needle had went over the other way, it would show how much they're going to owe. So it says the Johnsons will have a tax obligation of $3,393. The Johnsons will pay $6,888 in taxes and overpay by $2,895. So basically what that means is, based on how their W-4 is filled out currently, they have a total tax bill based on their income of $3,393 was the obligation, which means what they're supposed to pay. Because of how they filled out their form for that entire year, they're going to actually pay $6,888 based on what's taken out of their check. So that's going to mean that when the taxes are done for the following year, they will get a refund because they've overpaid by $2,895. Now, this was where the light bulb went out for me, because I'm like, okay, so basically it's my money. I'm deciding how much I'm going to pay. If I pay too much, they're going to give me some of my money back, which is a refund. If I don't pay them enough, I'm going to owe them, and they're going to take money away from me. So that's basically how that is going to go. So let's see what else we got here. So the Johnsons learn about the advantages of investing and owning a home-based business. They decide to invest $2,895 into their 401k. The Johnsons click on the income and withholding link. Mr. Johnson changes his answer and contributes to his 401k. So let's see how that is going to affect it. And so the Johnsons learn about the advantages of a home-based business and decide to get started in my econ. The Johnsons clicked on the adjustments to income link. The Johnsons estimate they will have $5,000 in Schedule C business deduction. Okay, so that's just, how you always hear us talking about deductions and write-offs and all that. That is where that comes into play. The Johnsons have figured that with their business expenses that they're going to need to operate their home-based business, they're going to have about $5,000 worth of deductions to add to their Schedule C, which we'll see is going to change things somewhat. Okay, the Johnsons click on the results tab after making the changes to their 401k contribution and adjustments to income to see what changes, if any, occur. By contributing to their 401k and starting a home-based business, the Johnsons now have a tax obligation of $3,045. And if you remember before, I think it was $3,300 and something. So it's already gone down. The Johnsons picked up an extra $948 by making these two, can't read it, but I'm pretty safe saying these two choices or changes. All right. So it says, because the Johnsons learned how to income shift with two simple strategies, they improved their finances in 3 ways. Okay. So the 3 things that they did, the Johnsons redirected their tax overpayment into their 401k. The Johnsons employer matched the 401k dollar for dollar. So that's good. So for their $2,895 they're putting in, their job is also going to match that amount. Okay. And then it says investing into their 401k and starting a home-based business. I'm pretty sure that I need to, let me take this banner down so I can read it for real. Let's see. Then I want to misquote. Where did I get this banner from? Okay, here we go. So let's see what it says. Okay, investing into their 401k and starting a home-based business lowered their taxes by another, I guess it's not gonna go any lower than that. Okay, so anyway, we see the total income shift. You've got the money they're putting into the 401k, the match, the fact that they lowered their taxes by $948 gives them a positive $6,738 shift in their income. So that is the whole purpose behind doing the let me take that down, bring us back up. Okay, so that's the whole purpose behind updating your W-4. You want to make sure that you are filling that form out so that you're getting the most bang for your buck, or you're getting the most out of what you need. Like if it's if they're taking too much out and you don't have enough to pay your bills during the year, to a point that you're having to use your credit cards, and then you're getting charged interest for using your credit card, you kind of digging yourself into a deeper hole when you can just go ahead and bring your money home during the year and not have to deal with it. So I've been doing all the talking. I'm gonna let Tony kind of give us some information about this as well. What you got, Tony?
Hey, that was great, Melissa. I think it's always good to have some type of visual aid to help people understand. One thing that I didn't want to interrupt you, but the purpose, we have to help people know what the purpose of the W-4. So a lot of people out there that don't know what the W-4 form is, you can Google it. But from me, I mean, I'm off the dome with this. And the purpose of the W-4 is to tell your employer how much to withhold from your pay. Anytime your personal or financial situation changes, it is up to you to make those adjustments, no one else. So we gotta teach people, because this is not taught in school. Your job is not going to tell you. HR is not going to tell you. So this information is valuable for me when I first started, because I was overpaying my taxes anywhere from $200 to $800, just like most people. I worked a lot of overtime. Anybody working a job will be taxed at the highest tax rate. I don't care if you're a doctor, a lawyer, a janitor, an engineer. Everybody that's working for someone else will be taxed at a higher tax rate than business owners and investors. So our company, all they're doing is sharing the blueprint for you to become a business owner to take advantage of these huge tax breaks. My niche market is workers. I'm talking about auto workers. I talk to my auto workers all the time about this. You can't complain about the overtime. I'm going to show you how to fix it. You can't complain about your body being broke down. I'm going to show you how to ease the pain where you don't have to go in and work every Saturday and Sunday. Your money's supposed to be working for you. And the first stage is where we mess up as workers, is by not properly adjusting our W-4. So Melissa, again, I think that the illustration is good, but we really have to think, okay, where did I mess up at? Nobody knows what the purpose of W-4 is. And the sad, it's on the top of the form, y'all. It tells you. A lot of people don't like to read. So it's not Melissa, it's not me, it's not Gio. We didn't come up with this stuff. This stuff it's in plain sight. They say they hide stuff in plain sight. It's on the form. You just got to read it and understand it. And it's up to us to help dissect and erect and unfold the information.
And one of the biggest things that you always reinforce is how often you're supposed to update it. So can you give some examples of when your W-4 form should be updated? Because you don't have to do it just at the beginning of the tax year. You do it when you have what?
Yeah. So a couple of known changes is loss of wages, increase in wage, birth of a child, when you bought a house, when you started a business. And this is where we come in at. When you start a business, you are telling the government, don't take all of my money. I need my money. I need to pay the water, the cable, the lights, daycare. I need to eat. So the money that you're losing, now you have the government giving it back to you in the form of deductions. Now you can utilize your own money to create the wealth, to invest more, to pay off the debt that always plagues us. Nobody ever has enough money when you're working. And we're just trying to show you how to redirect and what they call it income shift. Income shift the money back into your pockets.
Okay. I know one of the ones I hear about the most, and I haven't reached this point yet. Maybe the ladies, well, neither you or I have reached this point yet, but maybe the ladies down here could talk about how it changes when you have dependents that have outgrown, they no longer qualify as a dependent. How much of an effect that has on how you fill out that W-4 and what you're bringing home or a tax during tax time. Have you ladies had did y'all go through that when your kids got to be adult age and you could no longer claim them? When you
Yeah.
saw a shift?
Yes, and I wish I knew what I know today about certain things. If yes, when my daughter turned 18 and all this stuff, and I couldn't claim her anymore. Yes, my I didn't get. I had to pay. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted my own business and stuff. I really didn't know how that was going to help me and how that was going to put me in a lower income bracket until I did it. I didn't even know. Okay. And I was like, just because I got a business, I'm getting a refund. You know what I'm saying? And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really quite understand it until I started making really good money and I needed an accountant. And that's who informed me why, okay, that I was getting this refund back. Or if I wasn't getting the refund back, it would just be so low, I could just write them a check. Okay.
Right.
So when you own a home business and you're working all at the same time, it the just because you got a home business, I think that puts you in a different tax bracket, Tony. Even if you're working, that because you're going to get all of those home business deductions. Okay, this is why we're talking to you guys about my econ, because you can have that as your home business and just telling people what we're telling you guys and use that as deductions, and you're working out at the same time, and still you don't have to pay, or if you do, it'll be so low, you'll be like, it's better than 1,000. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's my take on it. Now that I understand it, I wish that people really would pay attention to what we're talking about, Melissa.
Exactly. What about you, Candy?
Hey guys, okay. So for me, I got a chance to experience this firsthand because my youngest just turned 19. So I'm literally getting out of them big fat earned income tax credits. And I'm thinking, I'm balling. I'm getting all this money back for having the children. Well, after she hit the 18 mark, the first year, I think I got a small refund. The second year, it was like, oh, you owe $1,000. The next year, it was like, oh, you owe $1,200. And I'm like, what? Why in the world do I owe? Like, why? I'm not getting no money back. Like, I was freaking out. So I got to experience that firsthand. And coming into this business, the education and the strategies, the very first strategy out the gate is they teach you, if you are a worker, like Tony says, the IRS has so much data to back this statement up that many of us are overpaying on our taxes simply because we have our W-4s filled out incorrectly. Now, if you are in a position like myself where you don't have the children to claim, you are still an employee, but you also are a home-based business owner, this allows you to be able to take advantage of those valuable tax deductions and either break even to where, yeah, you may not be getting a tax refund, but you're not going to be owing any money either. And you're going to be able to cash flow most of your money throughout the year because you've corrected it. So you're bringing home more income throughout the year. So that's been my experience. And it has been a blessing because it allowed me to pay off certain things that I wouldn't have been able to pay off prior to this knowledge.
And that's the best part. It ends up coming around full circle because I will be the first to say, that's why we were saying the other night, never be ashamed to admit that you don't know stuff. I used to be ashamed to share that my credit was what it was because I felt like at my age and with the income I was bringing in, there was no point that I should have bad credit. But then I didn't want to let people know because, you know, you have your ego and your pride about certain things. But pride don't matter if your credit score is below a 600 and you can't get approved for anything. So that's the best thing about this business. We use this business to teach people this particular information that we're learning now. Through teaching that information, we're bringing in income. We have our cash flow manager. We're taking and putting all of our expenses that we need to run our business in there. Based on what we're putting in that cash flow manager, we get an estimation of what it costs for us to run our business. And therefore, we can update the W-4 and make the changes so we can, you know, not owe or bring home more. So it's like it all comes around full circle in the end. And all of it is based on financial understanding. I'm telling you, I was terrible. It took me the longest to figure out the whole tax thing. I didn't know why I was doing it before. I didn't know how they calculated what my taxes would be. I'm 40 years old. I didn't have a clue. So, you know, since I've been doing this business, I've learned so much more. And it's like, that's another reason why we're always saying for the people on here who are YouTubers, you know, especially ones who have really productive channels, but you don't maybe know about the whole W-4 or the tax part of it. This might be something that puts a lot more money in your pocket because you're leaving it on the table. Because what's the total? It's like 475 possible deductions you can have as a home-based business owner. 475. So there are people who actually get their taxable income, meaning the amount of income they're going to tax you on, to zero, just because they have a business and they, you know, their expenses bring down their income. So, I mean, when you know information like that, that's a game changer. Because even if you're not like I don't claim to be an accountant, I don't know everything, but I know enough to understand what I need to do and how I need to complete my W-4. I know how, because, you know, it used to, for me, I was always so nervous around tax time because it was like, Lord, I don't know how much I'm going to owe. How did I figure out how much I'm going to owe? And didn't know all along. I could have been figuring it out myself and could have been adjusting so that it came out to a point where I'm not having to pay back. Now, yeah, if I didn't have a business, of course, that meant I was going to be, you know, bringing home less, but at least I had the knowledge. You know, I would rather, for me personally, I would have rather bring, which is why I was paying the extra money to get them take it out. I would rather bring home less during the year than to get in my tax person's office and they tell me, okay, you owe $7,000. And now I got to go online to set up a payment plan. And all this could have been avoided had I known that information. But every year I'm like biting nails, trying to figure what I'm going to do. Lord, please. You know, I told you, and then when I had the baby, I still didn't understand because, you know, your tax person always tell you need to either buy a house or have a baby. Well, I wasn't ready to buy a house. And when I finally had the baby, you would have thought I had hit gold. I'm like, I'm finna finally have some tax money. I'm finally gonna have one of them big refunds like everybody else get. They didn't even know how they calculated that stuff. All I know is here, I got a baby this time. What you gonna give me? Am I a winner now? You know, and other times I was saying it was like the price is right. You know, when you go up there and they got the big wheel and they spin it and they like big money. That's what I was doing at the tax office. And then a lot of times I got that because I owed. I had no idea what the formula is. So I just want to encourage people to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to admit what you don't know, because who cares? As long as you're getting your money. I got to get over that pride thing. Go on, Tony.
I'm going to piggyback on what you said, and hopefully this will all come together. Technology is here. My econ is technology based. So that IRS estimator really is just a plug and play. You are the one that has access to your pay stub. You the one have to plug that information in. So what Melissa was saying, by her not knowing, Imagine if you knew exactly how much money you owe them, and then you can control that. Say, I don't want to get a big refund at the end of the year. I want my money now. So
Mhm.
you go in and make those adjustments to be able to get that raise. Somebody needs to pay their car off early. The money that you're giving away, you could pay your car off early. You can pay off a credit card early. You can pay off that student loan debt early. You can invest more early. You could put more money into your retirement account, which still lowers your taxable income. So the money that you're losing, and the government said that in little bitty writing, they said that most people use a refund as a forced savings account,
Mhm.
but they're losing because of interest and inflation. So imagine if you had that money right then and there to be able to pay off something before the interest hit, or pay off something before it's time. Now you're actually in control of your own money. And that's what it means when you're becoming a good steward of your money, because you're not losing the ability to make it and allow it to grow for you.
Right. And let me also just say that this estimator, you don't have to have a home-based business. Like an example, the Johnsons didn't have a home-based business, but they still went in and used that to see where they are. So I recommend that everybody go through and do this, because the good part about it is when you get to that part at the end where it's kind of like the thing like that, you can actually move that and put it to the amount that you want to owe, or the amount that you want to get back. And it's going to tell you based on where you move that mark to, what you need to update. So it might tell you, okay, if you don't want to owe any taxes right now, based on the information you put in from your pay stub, we're taking out $351 a pay period. Okay, in order for you, and they're going to go through and calculate exactly how much more, because it used to be they did it by a number of allowances. Now they look at specific dollar amount. So it's going to tell you specifically, okay, we need you to pay an extra $200. So now instead of $351 being taken out, we're going to take out $551. Now that's up to you whether you're okay with having that additional $200 taken out of your check every pay period. Only you know that. And like Tony said, even if you get, it doesn't require anybody else to look at your, a lot of people don't want you to know how much they make, and they think we're going to see all that. No, you can do that yourself. The questions are very straightforward. My econ does not have to know any of your personal information like that. Now, if you go and ask somebody for help and you're okay with them seeing that, because, when I first got started, I did, I went to Tony and I was like, well, what do I need to put? But, it was okay for me. I wasn't worried about him stealing my identity or nothing. Shoot, at that point, he wouldn't want it anyway. So, but don't worry about that part of it either, if that's the thing, because a lot of times when you tell people you work in finance and you want to talk to them about finance, they're just they're afraid you're gonna want to get into their business and see how much money they make and all that stuff. But it doesn't have to be that way. So anyway, I hope we're up to 43 minutes. I hope this was helpful. I will let everybody go out and give some final last words as we wrap up this financial week. So, Tony, what you
got? Real quick and simple. All we're doing is doing what the wealthy people do, is getting control of our money and not overpaying. We're not overpaying our taxes. We're paying our fair share, but we're not overpaying our taxes, and we're maximizing our own money to create wealth. Thank you.
Okay, well, I would like to say that this is why Tony, Melissa, and Pandy and I are here, is to let you know that this company that we're talking about, My Econ, will teach you how to do all of this. Okay, and that's why I joined it, because I don't know everything. Okay, but because I have My Econ, I feel better. And if I want to know something, I just go in my own home business and find out what to do. This is why we're telling you guys to join and get in and let My Econ become your home business and take control of your money.
Amen. I agree with everything that you all have said. This is just really us coming to our community here on these social media platforms and really just sharing this information in the hopes that somebody who needs to pick it up, who wants the education, who wants to improve, who wants to get on the road to better financial health will be able to pick it up and see the value and start moving towards the right direction. Because like Melissa and Tony said in the slides that we were looking at, you know, many of us are simply overpaying, especially the W-4 employees. Many of us fill that form out incorrectly. So, I mean, if you're looking to go into business for yourself, and even if you're not, you should be evaluating that annually just to make sure that you're on the right path and that you're not overpaying, that you are getting all of the right deductions. And that's what I love about this company, the strategies and the education, priceless. So I really enjoyed the conversation tonight, guys.
Well, thank y'all. I would ask if there are any questions, but I see the chat's been moving right along. I don't think we had any in there this time, but if you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. We got Pandy from Making Money Move with Pandy. We have Gio from Boss Life Online, Tony from the Tony Clopton Show, and myself, Melissa King, my econ. So if you guys want to hit us up, and I think everybody has a IG, so if you want to hit them up there. But the whole point of it is start asking questions. It's your money. You're the one who having to pay it out. You're the one who could be saving it. You know, my econ has so many strategies. Like all of us have different situations. Personally, I file head of household, and you know, Tony's married. He may file differently. Pandy may file differently. So everybody's story is not going to be the same. But the good thing about this business is it can work for you no matter what your financial situation or your background or your career is. Because, you know, I saw in the chat, hey, Mickey, thanks for coming through. Mickey just retired from the military. So I was asking him how he's enjoying retirement. So that's a whole nother, you know, whole nother way. So he might be able to have a strategy that works better for him than that will work differently for me as a single parent. So, you know, ask the questions, and please believe that if you start a home-based business, you will learn how to calculate those deductions and be able to either bring more money home or stop giving so much money away. And that was my thing. I'm just thankful that for the last 8 years, I have not had to pay any money back. And for me, that's enough alone for me to keep doing this business. So anyway, we will see you guys next week. Next week, we'll be hanging out.
Okay. Let them know about the promo before you go. Anybody that's looking to join, because it's going to be ending soon. Okay.
So I forgot to mention that at the beginning. We are still having the promo where you can join our business right now for under $10, $9.95. We'll get you started. You'll have access to everything our business comes with in the income shifting membership, which is, you know, the credit repair we talked about earlier this week, the cash flow manager that we talked about last week, how to use this estimator calculator, all that type of stuff. So if you join now, this would be the perfect time to join, because for $9.95 you get all that. And then if you want to get the travel portion, it's an additional $29 for the startup. Mm-hmm. So and you get that as well. And the travel is another what can be a source of income if you're using it and referring people and, you know, selling it to people. So this business has all of that going on. $9.95. Join now, and that $9.95 and the monthly fee, you can put in your cash flow manager, which is going to add up to be a deduction that you're going to be taking off of that form we were just talking about. So it all goes in there together. You were going to say something, Gio? Oh, okay. I was just going to say that next week we'll be over on Gio's channel, Boss Life Online. She is going to be hosting, and we will be back again to share more information with y'all. So stay tuned in. Y'all have a good weekend. Thanks for coming through. Okay.